I think a month before that. I really don't know why, and I cannot explain. I was 11 years old. In the one moment when I was interrogated, it is also written here, somebody called the voivoda out. I was sitting in his office, and on his table there was a file of papers, and not fulfilled. We call it objava. It's a kind of pass for Chetnik, his name, when he's born, from where he goes, why he goes there. And on a small part on the bottom of that piece of paper was the same for families, Chetnik's families, his wife, his son, and on the end, I cannot translate it, believing sverom u Boga za kralja I otadžbinu, believing in God for the king and fatherland. Vaterland. Vojvoda Milija Majstorović. He had to only to write his name. Why? I cannot explain. I was only 11 years old. I took a dozen of that and put. I cannot explain, and we kept it. So we had our identity documents and that pass. But we had not a chance to fulfill it. How did we escape? I told you when we spoke, had the telephone spoke, that in all groups were not only good and bad peoples, they were mixed. And even between those Chetniks who served the Germans, not all of them were bad boys. Majstorović was a terrible man. In every sense, as a man, as a German servant, I don't know, I cannot tell you anything. If you look at the picture in his eyes, you will maybe understand who and what he was. I was sitting there between that people and listening to their stories. Maybe in those days I grow up quicker than in normal times. And some of them went in Chetniks, in Pechanchev Chetniks, wishing. They went in order to fight against, as the Chetniks' tradition was, fight against Germans. And when they came and were enrolled and enlisted in that group, they couldn't escape.
Right.
Some of them felt that something is not in order and went to change the place and go to partisans. Voivoda was a coward. And if partisans were not far from Sopot, Kosma, 10 kilometers from Kosma is a mountain, small. If partisans in the night started shooting just to show that they are somewhere here, he was scared. And then he used to gather all prisoners, taking oranges, and he loved that we kiss his hands. Kiss my hands, kiss Father Voivoda's hands, kiss, kiss, kiss. Here is an orange, take it. And he made presents. He had a box of orange, and we had to kiss his hands. You see, Father Voivoda is a good man, and you will tell that I am good, if partisans are close. But when they started being closer, he had some business in Belgrade. He left Sopot and went quickly to Belgrade. And one day we learned that he was wounded in his butina, I don't know how to say, his leg here.
Yeah, right.
And somebody told that he did it carefully, alone. to be a certain time in a hospital in Belgrade, not to come here where the partisans are close. Then started some protest between people in that group. Some of them wanted a new, a better and more brave voivode who will fight with partisans. Some of them wished to go to Bosnia. There was a situation that they can run away from that group and go to partisans. Some of them wished to stay in Sopot because the food was good there. And even some women, peasants, women, and some peasants were as war prisoners in Germany, in camps for war prisoners. So they were free and willing, and maybe something could be done with them. It is good to stay here. So they were different. And one day, some officers between them said, well, who wants to stay here on the left side, and who wants a new voivoda? Let's go on the right side. And people who wants a new voivoda will go to Belgrade, and we will ask, I cannot explain why, from Nedić. Because they were not under Nedić's command, they were under Costa Pečan's command, so I don't know why did he tell Nedić. In a moment, my mother and me, who were still in the corridor where that happened, looked each other, and we went on the right side, feeling that it is a possibility to left Sopot and came in Belgrade. And nobody of them asked us, what have you to do here? Well, they knew how many are going to Belgrade, how many are to stay, and the next morning, stand up, who wants to go to Belgrade, come down. They shared the ammunition and that what they had. I don't know exactly what happened there. We went down, they shook hands, kissed each other, shouted some. And we were staying, and nobody asked who ordered you to come with us. Then we went 4 kilometers from Sopot to Đurinci, where the railway station is, and we're waiting a train. It wasn't, the trains had no exactly time, right, because all trains with German troops
had priority.
Yeah. So we were waiting very long, I don't know how much. I have not exact feeling of time, or I do not remember now. Some of them went to Pest, I don't know what to do. And then came a young man whom we knew from Sopot. He was a Chetnik, but not by Majstorović. In that days, after the war, I learned who he was. In those days, we didn't know. I thought he is a young man, a bit silly. He put a fur cap, had a pistol, and was walking. A nice man, and young girls were looking at him. He said, before him, a few policemen came and asked, where are you going? Because they knew us. It's a village and everybody knows. Mm. My mother started crying and said, they're taking us to a concentration camp and they will kill us. And the policeman said, Žandari, don't worry, they are not killing women and kids. We'll stay in the concentration camp until the war finishes. And then came that young Chetnik, asking the same question, and my mother gave the same answer. And he said, listen, I'm not asking you, wishing to listen your lies. I'm asking you because I wish to help you if I can. And somehow my mother trusted him. She believed what he told and explained that we are trying to escape, that we have some papers, but they are empty, we cannot use them. And he said, come with me. I think 20 meters from that place was a small restaurant. And he entered the place and said to the owner of the restaurant, give me a pen and ink. And he said, don't make me troubles. He felt that something was. He said, if you don't shut up and don't bring me that ink and what I am asking, you will have troubles. Your house will be burned. And he wrote, who fulfilled and who put the signature, I don't remember. One thing did he, and I think that I wrote the signature, because in Belgrade nobody knows how is Lord Mayor's in Sopot. So we had documents. Then came the train. It were those wagons for cattle.
Right.
The Chetniks helped my mother to enter, and we went with them and came in Belgrade. On the Belgrade railway station, we went out from those wagons, and because we traveled with a slow train who had to wait on certain places, a few hours, I think, we went to a toilet, as all the soldiers did. But they finished their business in the toilet and returned. And we were sitting in the toilet, I think, a year long. And when we looked, nobody was on the station. They didn't remark that even nobody asked who ordered you to come with us. Right. Every officer thought that another one gave the order. Then we went out. On the door of the entrance, not entrance, where the exit is, were policemen. They looked at our papers, everything okay, and we were free.
By your star, you took a star off when?
No, thank you very much. We had no more stars.
When did you take it off?
We took the stars, I don't know. I think when we entered the train, I don't remember, but we lost the star. Now we were on the street, free, but on that day, you have that written, because my story would last, I think, a week or more. That's too much for you and for me. We tried to get in touch with some friends, but...
Can I ask you, before that Chetnik who you said after the war you found out who he was?
He was a Dražas Chetnik, and we didn't know that. He escaped, and somebody told me that he lived in Australia, and he died there. I'm not sure that it is exactly so, but he didn't. He's Radojević, I forgot his name. It's written here, I can recollect it.